The night after Marco's visit, I couldn't sleep. Damon's last words, "You'll understand soon, but when you do, it'll be too late," replayed in my mind like a curse. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face, the fury, the fear, the heartbreak he tried so hard to bury. And beneath it all, I felt something else, something that scared me more than any danger in his mansion. I was falling for him. By morning, the house was in motion. The staff moved quickly, carrying boxes, locking rooms I'd never entered before. Lucas avoided me completely. At breakfast, Damon wasn't there. I sat alone at the long marble table, untouched food in front of me, trying to ignore the gnawing ache in my chest. When the silence became unbearable, I went looking for him. I found him in the training room, a space I didn't know existed. He was shirtless, muscles slick with sweat, striking the punching bag over and over with a violence that looked personal. Each hit echoed like thunder in my bones. When he finally stopped, his breathing was ragged, his knuckles raw and bleeding. "Why are you here?" he asked without turning. "Because you weren't at breakfast." He wiped his face with a towel, still facing away. "You shouldn't come here." "I'm not afraid of you." He let out a dry laugh. "Then you're the only one." I took a slow step closer. "What are you fighting, Damon? The world or yourself?" He turned sharply, eyes wild, dangerous. "Both." For a moment, the air between us burned with something raw. Then softer, he added, "Marco wasn't just an enemy. He's a reminder of every sin I tried to bury." "Tell me," I whispered. "Tell me what you're hiding." His gaze dropped to the floor. "If I tell you, you'll never look at me the same. Then let me decide that." He hesitated, then finally said, "Marco wasn't lying. Alina didn't just die. She was murdered because of me." My heart stuttered. "What?" He ran a hand through his hair, his voice breaking. "I made a deal years ago. A blood oath. It was supposed to end a war between families. I promised loyalty in exchange for peace. But when Alina found out what it cost, she tried to end it." "What did it cost?" He looked up then, eyes hollow. "It cost her life." I sank onto the nearest chair, my legs trembling. "You mean someone killed her because of you?" "Yes, because she refused to stay silent." His fists clenched. "She went to the police, thinking she could free me, but she only signed her own death." I covered my mouth, trying not to sob. "And you did nothing?" "I did everything," he said, voice low. "I burned cities for her. But revenge doesn't bring peace. It only builds more graves." He walked closer, his presence heavy, but magnetic. "That's why I built this house. Not as a home, but as a cage. To keep what's left of me from destroying everything again." Tears blurred my vision. "Then why bring me here?" He stared at me, silent for a long time before answering. "Because you remind me of the part of me that still wants to live." The words hit deep, tender and cruel at once. I wanted to touch him, to reach for that broken part he kept buried under control. But something in his eyes warned me not to. If I touched him now, I might never come back whole. That night, I couldn't stay still. The mansion's silence pressed against me like a weight. I wandered until I found myself near the West Wing, a place Lucas had always kept locked. But tonight, the door was slightly open. Inside, the air smelled of old perfume and dust. A vanity stood in the corner with half-burned candles, and on the dresser, framed in silver, was a photograph. Alina. Her eyes were softer than I had imagined, kind, full of light, and around her neck was the same silver necklace I now wore. I touched it instinctively. My chest tightened. Had he given her the same one? Was I wearing her ghost? Beautiful, wasn't she? The voice came from behind me, smooth, mocking. I turned. Celine stood in the doorway, draped in crimson silk, holding a glass of wine. "What are you doing here?" I asked, voice trembling. She said, "Reminiscing. I used to stand right where you are, before he replaced her. And now, before he replaces you." I took a step back. "You're lying." She sipped her wine. "Am I?" Alina thought the same, thought she was special, thought she could tame the shadow. She moved closer, her heels silent against the rug. Anger flared in my chest. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I like you," she said, almost gently. "And I don't want to see you become another memory." Her tone shifted, eyes sharpening. "But if you stay, you will." Before I could answer, she brushed past me, leaving the faint scent of her perfume behind. The door clicked shut. I stood there for a long time, heart racing, staring at Alina's photo. The woman in the picture smiled softly, unaware that her love would become her death. And suddenly, I felt the walls close in. I didn't see Damon until the next evening. He was in the study, reading documents under the dim light of his desk lamp. "Why didn't you tell me about Elena's necklace?" I demanded. He looked up slowly, expression unreadable. "Because it doesn't matter." "It matters to me," I snapped. "You gave me something that belonged to your dead wife. Do you even hear how twisted that is?" He stood, walking toward me until there was barely space between us. "It wasn't hers, Amira. It was mine. I gave it to her. And now, I gave it to you." "Why?" I whispered. "To mark me?" "To protect you." I shook my head. "You keep saying that, but from what? From you?" His eyes burned with something dark and desperate. "From them." Before I could speak, there was a sound outside, footsteps, then glass shattering. Damon grabbed my wrist and pulled me behind the desk. "Stay down," he hissed. The door burst open. 3 men in black masks stormed in, guns raised. "Marco sends his regards," one of them sneered. Damon moved like lightning. A shot fired, missed. He slammed one man against the wall, disarmed the second with brutal precision. The third aimed at me, finger tightening on the trigger. Then Lucas appeared, gun in hand, and dropped him before he could fire. Silence. The room smelled of smoke and adrenaline. I was shaking, unable to move. Damon turned to me, his voice low. "Are you hurt?" I shook my head, breathless. He knelt beside me, brushing my hair back. His hands were trembling, not from fear, but from fury. "You see now why I keep you close?" Tears spilled from my eyes. "You're living in a war." He cupped my face, eyes softening. "No, I'm trying to end one." Then, to my shock, he pressed his forehead against mine, a quiet, desperate gesture of need. "I made a blood oath once, but I'll make another now. This time, to you. Damon, not as a promise, but as a warning. As long as you wear that necklace, you are mine, and I'll destroy anyone who tries to take you." His words should have frightened me, but all I felt was the burn of his truth, raw, unfiltered, and terrifyingly real. He didn't kiss me. He didn't have to. Because in that moment, I realized something worse than love. I belonged to him. That night, long after the intruders were gone, I found Damon standing on the balcony, staring at the rain. Without a word, I walked up beside him. The city below glowed faintly, a reflection of the chaos in our hearts. "What happens now?" I asked quietly. He looked at me, eyes softer than I'd ever seen them. "Now we prepare." "For what?" "For war." And just like that, the man who was both my protector and my curse took my hand, and I knew there was no turning back.